What's up, everybody? It's Sebastian again with MMA Ramble. It's Saturday, April 14th, which means UFC fight night. And I think and I believe, again, like these fight nights tend to be, in general, a lot better than the pay per view events. It's going to be a good card. And I want to just slightly touch on three of the fights that really interest me the most. The first one I'm going to touch on is Israel Adesanya, the last style bender, versus, what's his name? Marvin Wettori. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. If I'm not, excuse me. Anyways, so I really wanted to touch on this Israel Adesanya fighter because uh, I think he's gonna blow up to be another one of these stars, similar to Darren Till, Shane O'Malley, Anderson Silva. Those are the people that he reminds me of. That's why I mentioned those fighters. Uh, just his style is very unique in the respect of just being creative and being just very not afraid to get hit, and also avoiding very evasive, avoiding a lot of damaging shots. And he does move similar to Anderson Silva and Darren Till. So those are the type of fighters that are usually tend to be my favorite fighters, even though grappling is my strong suit. Just being able to do stuff like that with striking is something incredible, and it's super hard to train for as well. So Anderson Silva is my personal all-time favorite, and this guy reminds me of that guy. So hopefully he puts on a good show. He puts on a technique clinic, and shows us that 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 craft, that art of being a very fancy, effective striker still exists, because wrestling has taken over again in the UFC, which is awesome too. Because once again, I'm very heavy on my grappling, so I want to see what this guy has to bring and has to offer. Is he going to be a future star? You guys let me think what you think. You guys tell me what you think. Is he going to be a future star? Let's see what happens. Now, the second one I want to cover is Carlos Condit, one of my other favorite fighters, versus Charles Oliveira. Or, sorry, I always say that. Alex Oliveira. Cowboy, the Brazilian cowboy version of Donald Cerrone. At any rate, I would have to pick. Oh, for the first fight that I covered, I'm definitely gonna have to go for Israel Adesanya, and for this fight, Carlos Condit versus Alex Oliveira, I'm gonna have to lean towards Alex Oliveira because he just seems like a crazier MFer at this point, and Carlos Condit seems like he's a very happy with his life, very settled in his life, and he's not. There isn't really a chip on his shoulder anymore, which is what I believe drove him to be one of the best fighters in the UFC. So I think he's lost that, and not to say that he's not a great fighter anymore. He definitely is a great fighter, but I don't think he's has that mental mental drive anymore that he used to have, because he's got a full family now, full-fledged family, and something like that's just gonna, you have different priorities shift. So I'm picking Alex Oliveira to win this welterweight bout, and I'm very interested to see how both of these fighters look, because I know Alex Oliveira is gonna bring it. He's gonna look fantastic, and I want to see how good or how interested Carlos Condit looks in this fight. Now, the third fight I want to cover is obviously the main event: Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. And Justin Gaethje, in general, doesn't have the most technical striking, but he's got devastating low leg kicks that will pretty much disable his opponents and make them handicapped. Dustin Poirier is a very strong starter. He does have a chin. He can, keep up his chin, but he starts fading away, and I think he starts mentally, giving up before his body starts giving up. So for this one, I would have to give it to Justin Gaethje for the win here, and I think it's gonna be one of those maybe third, fourth round knockouts, because Justin Gaethje, you need to have maybe like three bats bundled up together just to knock this guy out. The war that he had with Eddie Alvarez was fucking incredible. One of my favorite fights. I mean, both of those fighters went back and forth. I think Justin Gaethje learned from that experience, and he's going to be a little more reserved. But the type of fighter that he is, he's going to resort back to his savagery in the third and fourth, maybe fifth rounds, and I think he's going to TKO his opponent. So he's going to TKO Dustin Poirier, and I do see him getting knocked out, or at least technically knocked out by the fourth round. We'll see what happens. I'm super excited about this card, so hopefully it delivers. Even if it doesn't matter, because I'm always looking for technique, strategy, game plans, and let me know what you guys think. Follow me on Instagram at Savage Stone, the French version of Savage, and subscribe, you bastards.